Order, and it's really nice to see everybody in the flesh. For 2 long years of not meeting in person, so really happy to be here and all together. So, Marty,
Can anybody hear me?
we hear you, Marty.
Okay, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sharice, you want to do the roll call?
Of course. Good afternoon, everyone. So Marty. Jim Coffey. Sid Garrett.
Here.
Sal Graven is not here. Heidi here, Helly. Anna Lamb. Ahmed.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And Christina Uzo. Here.
Quorum, so we can proceed. And before we proceed, I want to welcome Anna to the College Council. She's new since our last meeting, so welcome. And
Thank
okay, approval of the agenda. Before we approve the agenda, you all should have a copy. We want to move the action items up to after the approval of, or after the public comment, if that's okay.
I so moved. You need a motion? I so moved.
Okay, Sid moves, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Jim, all in favor? Okay, so we've approved the agenda with that move, and now we'll approve the minutes from February 14th. And I have a motion to approve those minutes.
I so moved.
Sid moves, second. Jim seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay, then we will move on to the action items. I believe that Ann Hansen did speak to everybody about these action items. And are there any questions? Is Ann on?
Yes, I am on.
Okay, hi Ann. Okay, are there any further questions for Ann before we move to approve these? Ann, did you have anything else to add?
Nope, nothing more unless anyone has any questions.
Okay, then we'll proceed. The first is a resolution to name the Lisa Lewis and John Etling Garden. I'll take a motion. Okay, Jim
I'll second
moves, Sid seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
And the second is to pass a resolution to name the Thomas Moran Seminar Room. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Sid, Marty, you second?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approved. Thank you, everybody. The next is the approval of the dates and locations for our 22-23 College Council meetings, all scheduled for 1 p.m. right here in this conference room. Monday, September 12th, 2022, Monday, November 14th, 2022, Monday, February 13th, 2023, and Monday, February 17th, 2023. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Marty moves, okay. Anybody want a second? Okay.
I just have one question before we actually take the vote. I know Ann and I discussed, and been away and didn't take the time to look, but Ann, did you check and make sure that none of these dates are on Mondays after major vacation holidays?
You didn't look at your calendar?
No, I did not. I did not.
They have been. Yeah, they have been and they are not. You know, for example, the one in November is well before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
The one in April is a week and a day after Easter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, approved. Okay, then we'll move on to Dr. Andietti's report.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I just want to first of all say thank you for the two resolutions, one in terms of the naming of the seminar room for Dr. Tom, and also for the resolution to name the beautiful garden in Hawkins Hall for Lisa Lewis and John Etling. We'll have appropriate openings for both of those in the very near future. So thank you again for that. I want to just also begin by formally welcoming our newest college council member. And she's certainly no stranger to SUNY Plattsburgh. In March, Governor Kathy Hochul appointed Plattsburgh resident and retired nurse Anna Liam to the SUNY Plattsburgh College Council. For those of you that aren't familiar with Anna's past, she first served at SUNY Plattsburgh in 1998 as the former distance learning office coordinator. She then served as the coordinator of the RN to BSN study option before retiring from SUNY Plattsburgh in 2016. Anna has also been a student. As a student, she earned a master's in administration and leadership in 1996 and a bachelor's of science in nursing in 2006. So I wanted to say that we welcome her leadership to the college, and I certainly enjoyed our time visiting a little more than 2 weeks ago prior to Anna's quick back and forth overseas to visit with family. I'll also be remiss not to acknowledge that Anna is replacing Dan Burke on this council. Dan has a long connection to the college beginning in 1974 with his graduation with a degree in economics. And in 2002, he was elected to the College Foundation Board, and he became president of the board in 2007. He was also provided the Distinguished Service Award in 2015. And Dan, if you're listening in, we look forward to your continued involvement with the college. It's been just terrific having you part of this group. So thanks again. On the topic of being remiss, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge that this is the final college council meeting for Vice President Josie LaRochelle. Josie LaRochelle informed me well over a month ago of her desire to move back to California and will be leaving the campus on August the 31st. So I just want to say thank you, Josie, for 5 years of service to the campus. If you noticed many of the construction projects that are going on, we owe a great debt of gratitude to Josie for that. But as a campus, I think the most important accomplishment during Josie's tenure was being able to help the campus become financially stable, and the creation of our financial stability plan, which has really provided for us as a campus to be in many ways solvent and making sure that we are responsible with the precious resources that we have, and certainly being able to expend them in a way that was responsible and met the requirement of SUNY for us to have a balanced budget. The last part I'll indicate is that Josie has played an incredible role in the campus's response to COVID. From the background, I'm aware of all the work that went on with classroom readjustments, realignments, testing center, the work that had to be done with respect to everything around safety and, for example, these MERV filters that we have now on campus, all the small things that added up to a tremendous response. So Josie, on behalf of the college, on behalf of the College Council, thank you very much for everything. And this is officially your final meeting. So I want to give you the highlights since we last met. The first highlight, and I think it's a very important highlight for campus, is Middle States and our work to reaffirm our accreditation through the Middle States Commission on Higher Education, or as it's affectionately known as MSCHE. They held their virtual site visit earlier this month, and I want to thank the council members here today for participating in the online meetings with the team members. And I also want to thank one of the dozens, and this was one of dozens of meetings that took place over a very busy 3 days that we had with the commission on our campus. I also want to express my thanks to the members of the executive committee who developed our self-study report and prepared many of the myriad of aspects for the site visit. And I just want to, off the top of my head, acknowledge the site was the executive committee. So Dr. Sandra Rizak is a member of the executive committee. Dr. Del Hart, who's from computer science, is a member of the committee. Dr. I always give Ken an honorary doctorate. Ken Kennelly, Chief of Staff, as part of the Executive Committee, and then Joanne Gleason-Craig, the doctor, I'm meant to get to that doctor, I give everyone doctor except for Joanne. Dr. Joanne Gleason-Craig, who also served as the ALO, Accreditation Liaison Officer, and Sarah Phillips, who is our institutional research individual. These were the 5 key individuals for our campus to ensure that we move through the process. And I use this sort of as a way to, it's like we're hurting everyone to move us from the start, from the inception of this work and being able to collect all the evidence, prepare the self-study report, which you haven't seen. If you haven't seen, I'd recommend reading it. You'll learn about all the incredible 7 standards that our campus has to address in order for its accreditation. So with that, I need to say thank you again to that important executive committee that did so much work for our self-study report. I also need to thank the steering committee and the working groups who contributed to the details for each of the standards. And I also need to thank the entire campus community who joined in the conversations, who shared their insights about the college, and were very honest with the review team when they were here. This was a years-long process, and it required steadfast leadership. And I'll just happy to report that the visiting team gave a feedback report at the conclusion of their visit that was both positive and gratifying. It reinforced and recognized the good work that we do here to support student success, and we will be formally informed of the commission's decision at the end of June with respect to our current process for reaffirmation. So on the next topic I'd like to cover is Plattsburgh Next. And this is our new strategic plan. And we continue to build up the implementation process for this strategic plan. The vice presidents are beginning to focus on aligned goals under each of the 4 pillars. And these 4 pillars are growing and stabilizing our enrollment, strengthening student success, prioritizing equity and inclusion, and more deeply engaging our North Country home. These goals will be developed through a SMART, I'll say a SMART approach, which stands for, is an acronym for measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And the first S is actually strategic. And these will be managed and measured, and we will be following through with accountability partners who will keep our work or help us keep our work on track. These partners will be settled over the balance of the semester and into the summer. If you've not read the plan yet, I would encourage you to. It is available online at plattsburgh.edu/next. Next topic is commencement. As is our tradition, our annual May commencement is returning to a somewhat pre-COVID style event. This year, due to the ongoing renovations in the Fieldhouse Gymnasium, the events of commencement will be held in the Stafford Ice Arena. There will be 3 programs, 8:30 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, May the 21st, to account for the different space and other considerations with respect to COVID. We look forward to your participation as part of the platform party as in years past. My office will be reaching out to you soon to gauge your ability to attend and for which event. I would say up front, you're welcome to attend all 3. I'll be there. So I'm happy to welcome you to all 3 as well. And again, we appreciate and we certainly love the college's, the council's representation at each event, and we look forward to apportioning out the members accordingly. And one thing I'll mention as an aside, we will be providing an honorary degree at this year's commencement to Dr. Neville Strump, nursing alum from our campus, who served as, for a short time, interim dean at the University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing. Dr. Strump will be here, and we're not sure if she'll do all 3 events, but certainly she's up for at least 2, so we'll know more soon. The next item I want to touch upon is the New York State budget. The recently passed New York State budget provides some positive news for the entire SUNY system. What I can tell you is it does maintain the state's direct support to the college at the identical level as last year. So that's good news. There's been no regression or dropping back in terms of support. It did not allow for an increase though for this year's budget. But it does pay for the state tuition assistance program and the Excelsior programs at levels that align with actual costs. And so as you've heard in the past, the TAP gap is now being no longer a thing. It will be eliminated with respect to this new budget. And it also increases the amount of capital funding for projects across the entire system. And I think that's a valuable, I'll say, take-home message that the state of New York recognizes that infrastructure and investing in the maintenance of infrastructure and the development of infrastructure is key to the success of SUNY. The approved budget plan also allocates a dedicated portion for new faculty, and that amount is 53 million. We do not have details of that yet, but I'm sure that that will be sorted out in the next few months. There's also funding that's been set aside for improving academic programs and funding for additional mental health services. And so, as I said just a moment ago, with this framework, there are still details to be worked out. How much SUNY Plattsburgh realizes from this budget and how these dollars can be spent in some cases still remains an open question. And we expect to learn more as soon as the details are released. And while the state budget news is positive, it is primarily or a majority of one-time flow of funding that only amplifies our need to really focus on the 4 pillars of the strategic plan, Plattsburgh Next. Growing and stabilizing our enrollment, as well as the success and retention of students, is the true recipe for long-term prosperity for this college. It certainly helps with the prosperity of our students, but also the prosperity of our faculty, prosperity of our staff, and it solidifies our place as a foundational agent of change for economic regional development here in the North Country. I want to alert you to something that I started this semester, now that we're able to get together in a little bit more safer environment face-to-face, is office hours for faculty, staff, and students. This semester, I've posted open office hours for faculty, staff, and students here at SUNY Plattsburgh. The appointments are available in 15-minute slots to enable more participation and are made through an online form. The meetings are open for individuals or up to 3 people. First-time participants are given priority, and some requests are routed to ensure that more prompt attention or consideration is provided rather than waiting to meet for me. An example of this is grade disputes. There's a far better way to deal with grade disputes than coming to me. So far, I have met with nearly 24 individuals. They have shared ideas about the academic calendar, campus accessibility for those with disabilities, entrepreneurship, and more. I've found these visits both enriching and informative, and I'm thankful for those who have taken the time to visit with me. And I look forward to continuing these next semester. Another item I'm proud to announce is the opening of our faculty staff lounge. This semester, we opened this new lounge in Feinberg Library. I've got science in the brain here, room 335. This unique space will be open during all of office hours. It is designed as a welcoming space for faculty and staff fellowship and interaction away from our busy campus environment. It's equipped with a new refrigerator, a microwave, and a coffee maker, as well as plenty of furniture for eating, working, and relaxing. And it also offers an outdoor balcony access and large windows overlooking our beautiful campus. It is a space that belongs to all of our faculty and staff, and I'm so pleased to see that it's being used already. Next item I want to inform you about is the naturalization ceremony. Next week, the college will host a naturalization ceremony. This was done pre-COVID and has alternated between Clinton Community College and us. More than 20 residents in our region will become naturalized U.S. citizens. And as a naturalized citizen from Canada, I appreciate the deep meaning of this event. The judges participating are all alumni from the college. The Honorable Gary Favreau, SUNY Plattsburgh 73. He's the U.S. Magistrate Judge for the Northern District of New York. Honorable Christian Hummel, class of 77. He's also a U.S. Magistrate Judge for the Northern District of New York. And the Honorable Glenn Sutterby, class of 80, who serves as the Chief U.S. District Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Northern Interior of New York, who also received a SUNY honorary degree in December of 2021. And finally, the topic you've all been waiting for, COVID. I just want to report on COVID-related aspects. About 89% of our students are triple vaccinated, including boosters, and another 5% have 2 shots and thus are in process for the final booster. Our cases have continued to be lower as the semester has advanced, and this is data as of last Friday. There were 2 reported students in isolation or quarantine. This was on-campus students, and there were 4 off-campus students that were either in isolation or quarantine. We have had a very low case count for our particular campus, both faculty, staff, and students, and the county has been doing very well. We slipped into the to the middle zone. Last week, we've been teetering between green and yellow for the last month or so. We will continue to be vigilant and watch what's happening in the community. With respect to our face mask mandate, classrooms are still required for face masks, so students and faculty in class are required to keep their face masks on during that entire class period. The rest of campus right now is mask optional. And as you've seen, as you came in today, a mix of approaches to mask wearing, and it appears to be doing well. Not too many complaints about the masks, let's put it that way. So we're working through those. And so in closing, I just need to take a moment to say thank you to the college council members for your service and your support to the college. We certainly couldn't do our work without your interest, but certainly your feedback to the work that's happening with campus. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Agnetti? Okay, very good, thank you. Division reports, Richard Miller. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I have enjoyed my 4 and some change months here at SUNY Plattsburgh. I came from Kentucky, and when I stepped foot on campus, it was minus 16 degrees below zero here, and I said to myself, welcome to the country. Although I am a native Ithaca in New York, so I'm somewhat familiar, but obviously. Just a couple of things. There are a number of committees and councils that the college has established that relates to a broad range of DE&I issues, and I've enjoyed working with those groups so far. We continue to look at ways in which we can enhance DE&I efforts on campus, and we'll continue to do that. A number of searches underway for positions that fall under the umbrella of DE&I. In addition to that, we're looking at our DE&I strategic plan and working on trying to get more and more individuals affiliated with the Equity Associates, which is a group of individuals that work with our search committees with respect to understanding unconscious bias and microaggressions as we move forward. So, and finally, we're searching for a full-time vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think Dan will talk a little bit more about that. So it's been a wonderful experience so far, and so ask are there any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Josie?
Well, good afternoon. I have a few updates for the Administration and Finance Division. The president already gave an update on the New York State budget, so I won't bore you with more details of that. Just a couple of fun things that are going on in the division. The Spring Carnival is back, and that's probably part of your report, Corey, as well. Partnership between Student Association and CAS and Chartwell's. It's May 4th. So come and have fun, and we can bounce in the bouncy houses. And I think there's like a hippo bouncy thing that the students are all excited about, no music, and it'll be great. College Auxiliary Services is also partnering with Chartwell's to support our students who I'm still blanking. Who participate in Ramadan. Not the right word, but it's the word I found. And so they are hosting some special times and meal packets so that they can be nourished during the right times. And there's a special event on May 2nd to support those students. Procurement, so buying goods and services. I think I've shared with this group before that we have partnered with SUNY Potsdam on an electronic procurement system. It's a SUNY procured system. The company is called Jaeger, and it provides for electronic routing of procurement purchase orders and requisitions and automates the process with workflow, et cetera. And so we partnered with SUNY Potsdam, so we have a shared service where both Potsdam employees on the accounts payable and procurement side and the Plattsburgh team accounts payable and procurement joined their units together, and they are fully integrated. And we've been in this, in the system, supporting both campuses, since about December or so. We had a small soft roll in. It's been touted as the best implementation. The team has received accolades from SUNY system continually. The team is really just bonded together. Location doesn't matter anymore. And so we've also become, there's about 6, I think, SUNY campuses who are in this environment, if not, and more that are coming into this electronic environment. We are now the number 3 with the largest user, which means processed more requisitions than any of the other campuses. So the top 3. First, there's Stony Brook, who has been in the system for about 8 years. So they have a head start, right? And Stony Brook Hospital, big. The number 2 is Buffalo. And Buffalo's been in for quite some time as well. And they have all of their research foundation is also working and being processed through their e-procurement system. And then there's us, Potsdam and Plattsburgh. So either we're spending too much money or the team is just doing a great job. I say the team is doing a great job. We've actually processed 3,700 requisitions and purchase orders in less than 6 months without an increase of staff and just through grit. So I have to give them, the entire team, just a huge shout out. And it's really been positive for both of the campuses, ensuring that we're not only complying with New York State procurement regulations, but also ensuring that we get the best price. Human resources is really, really busy. You can tell that that business is back to what the new normal is. There's lots of recruitments going on. We also have, unfortunately, some employee issues, but and, you know, with the recruitments, there's also what we all have heard about, issues of our employment pool is just struggling. And so our searches are also struggling with attracting qualified candidates and ones that we want to bring to SUNY Plattsburgh. So that's putting a strain on the team. I just wanted to share that. From a capital project perspective, as the president had already mentioned, the Fieldhouse Gymnasium is under renovations, which is why I can't have commencement there. The renovations, you'll all see it at the next commencement. It's going to look great. It's really improving all of the aesthetics, the flooring, new bleachers, paint, doors, and so it's going to be a wonderful place. We're also putting in a turf infield so that it will support not only our athletic teams, especially practice for the winter, but also with other local community partners that we have who use the Fieldhouse gym to support their events. That's an exciting one. Our Memorial Hall Phase 1 was complete. If you have a chance, now that we're all back on campus, to go see, I highly encourage you. It is absolutely beautiful. We are looking to kick off the Phase 2 of Memorial Hall, which will take care of the rest of the building. So the first phase was really the main lobby and demolishing the pool and building a new rec gym, and a bunch of mechanicals. So it's still expensive. The rest of the building is going to be renovated in this next phase, which is great because the project originally proposed to me was a 5-phase project, which means we all would be retired and leaving the institution by the time it was done. Hopefully you got here a few minutes early. You saw the pond was open. So it looks fantastic. The maintenance crew did a great job. It takes about 2 days, all hands on deck to make it look that way. But we know that not only our students, faculty and staff, but the surrounding community enjoy our Hawkins Wellness environment. And then there's 2 really boring, expensive projects that are happening. And they're to make sure that our building stays safe for not only our occupants who are there, but anybody walking around. These are masonry projects just to fix the outside of the buildings and make sure that they don't crumble around us. That's why I call them very boring. They're not to improve the look of the buildings. They will look a little cleaner, but that's about it. So it's the Kehoe building. So if you went around there, you're going to see, unfortunately, windows that are actually boarded up, scaffolding on all 4 sides. It's extremely noisy and painful, but it's one that we must do to ensure that the building survives as long as the campus will. The Feinberg libraries also have the same type of project. So you see scaffolding around there too. Boring, ugly, annoying, but it's a must do. So I started with all the fun things, the great improvements, and then ended with the unpleasant. And last update would be just to let everybody know, we did get a renewal of a really important grant for the college and our community. It's an $8.25 million 5-year caregiver grant for Alzheimer's. This is critical to our entire 5-county region. So that's really, really.
Helen,
Any questions?
what's the anticipated completion date of the field house?
The field house, you know what, it might be before commencement, it might be right around
That's soon.
commencement. It's like, you know, it all is a matter of when the bleachers decide to be delivered. So that's really what the supply chain has caused the issue with that. Otherwise, we would have attended.
So how does that turf field work? Does the floor close over it and then it kind
That would be really cool.
I don't know.
But I can't afford that.
I'm having a hard time, like, is it still gonna have like a solid floor, like
It
when we
will.
have graduation,
Yeah.
but then what happens, how does this turf field?
We put a floor on top,
Oh,
but it's not like this really cool, like push a button and you get a
Yeah.
floor. It's like get everybody over in maintenance to go into and start putting down little pieces.
And we may fall in love with the hockey arena as well. So who knows?
oh, for.
I'm just kidding.
So no, that won't happen. Yeah, I hope you have a loud booming voice that day.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck for your next adventure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Corey Jackson, Corey.
Well, like Jesse said, fun seems to be back on campus, which is wonderful. Students are doing typical student things, lots of social and cultural activities happening at a scale that we've not seen for many years, so that's wonderful. Including the campus carnival, which is, as she said, lots of fun. And I would give a plug for Memorial Hall. I know there was a lot of sadness about losing the pool, but we are seeing more students in Memorial Hall and recreation gym in a week than we used to see in an entire semester. So students have embraced the new gym. It was well worth the pain that went along with getting the pool out there. I'll start on the enrollment side of things. Our new student goal for summer and fall 22 is 1614. We are optimistic, cautiously optimistic we're going to hit that target. Statewide deposits seem to be lagging. People just seem to be slow to be paying deposits. So each week that goes by looks a little better in terms of percentage of where we want to be. I would say if we end up with deficits, it will be domestic first-year students. We seem to be doing pretty well in all of the categories. Gaps we were seeing closed. We do have sort of an unanticipated number of students who've applied to graduate this spring, which is wonderful. But that changes our picture a little bit for the fall, so we will keep having conversations about what that might mean. And we will keep processing applications right up to the first week of the fall semester. So we're still optimistic about that target. In terms of looking to fall 23, as Dr. Agneti mentioned, we're setting some target goals for some things. For us in particular, we're looking at the EOP program. We have seats for many more students than we are currently enrolling, and we're particularly focused on North Country students who might be interested in the EOP program. So work is happening there, and then also partnerships with the Plattsburgh Upward Bound program, but Upward Bound programs across the state, perhaps as a pipeline. So those are some areas we're doing some work in the next couple of years. On the student services side, I think Ahmed may have popped off of the call, so I'll highlight that the Student Association has an election tomorrow. They will be electing a new slate of officers. They will also be doing a referendum vote on their student association fee being mandatory. That has to happen every 2 years, so that's a big vote for them. And then they also have a proposed amendment to the Constitution tomorrow and as well. They do need to get 10% of the student body to vote to make that referendum vote valid. So all hands on deck to get the vote up tomorrow. The Career Development Center had a career fair on March 30th, the first big one in person in quite a few years. They had 325 students and 69 employers. It was phenomenal. Employers were very excited to be able to recruit in person and interact with students in person. So we got some very nice feedback about our students from that event. We have 4 university police officers who are going to be participating in training later this month with the Adirondack Diversity Council, doing a cultural competence training. And that'll be hosted here, but partnering with the city police, state police, and the sheriff's department. And then I would highlight we have a couple of new work groups that have been formed to enrollment student success, and those are really addressing some issues that are part of our Plattsburgh Next plan. We have a new mental health work group that's tasked with doing a comprehensive review of the services and outreach that we're doing related to mental health and well-being. And we'll be making some recommendations back. There's also a new student life group, which is bringing together lots of student-facing departments in ESS, but also some other divisions, and really trying to look at the overall co-curricular experience that students are having with a focus on belonging, which is a word in the Plattsburgh Next plan that we're all trying to wrap our minds around what that really means. So that group is talking about belonging and what it means to have a sense of belonging here. And then there's a new campus accessibility committee, and that has members from different divisions of the college, but looking at accessibility issues for students, faculty, staff, and visitors to campus, and that's been led by the director of accessibility services. Questions for me?
Yeah, I do have a question. You mentioned there's a lag, and what's the percentage on the lag?
That's a good question. It moves every day.
So
So
what's a range?
Today's better than Friday.
what's that?
Today's better than Friday.
Today's better than Friday, right? So it's probably the percentage matters less. I mean, for us, we're looking, you know, based on this date last year, how far behind are we? And last week it was looking a little scary. It was looking close to 100. Today it's down in the 60s. So it keeps.
100 would be what percentage?
20.
Well, that one was
20%?
So our acceptance, our applications are up, our acceptances are up. It's our yield that's been down. So that's been the tricky part. And that yield gets better all the time.
Is there any, you have some thoughts about why the yield is down?
I think part of it is students are applying all over the place. Test optional has opened up more opportunities for students, so.
And they're waiting for May 1st, and they're waiting to debate the financial package.
Right, so
Lived in that world and settling up.
exactly. So May 1st is our deposit deadline. We'll keep taking deposits anytime after that, but everything is kind of waiting. So it's hopeful that Monday morning, this was a good Monday morning. Next Monday morning will be a big one to see where we land. It just, I think we're just waiting to make plans. I think the uncertainty of the last few years have led people to not want to commit until they need to.
Okay, and is this something that is SUNY-wide, this problem?
It's national.
It's it, yes, absolutely.
I'm living this at home. My daughter is waiting for the last
Yeah.
minute before doing the
Yep.
competition. And families have become more savvy that that the competition for students is so increased, especially in the Northeast, that they know that they can contact a school and say, no, we really one go here, but this other institution is giving us $2,000 more. We need that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Great.
it's
Good for
better.
students.
Yeah.
And our.
It's a buyer's market right now.
It is. Our financial aid packages went out a little bit later than they usually do. So we thought that was part of the lag, and that was because we were redeveloping the whole institution gift aid. So, but that caught right back up as soon as the packages.
I forgot to mention that as part of my report is, and it's really important and it's huge. We have adjusted our institutional gift aid scholarship packaging from being merit and basically geography, where you reside within the state or outside the state, to a need-based program. So I think we weren't much later than a week or two, but we have worked with a consultant for the past 6+ months. Really did a deep dive into our students, their need, and really we are, for sure, the first SUNY, but this is very unique for a public institution to shift to a need-based financial scholarship packaging process. So it's a great team of people who work together on this project. It was led by our Student Financial Services Director, Todd Warbeck, but lots of people hands-on.
What does that mean? Does that mean that doesn't mean financial aid won't get merit scholarships now?
Yes. So there are still some merit-based scholarships. Transfers are primarily staying the same. And so we have kind of a tier one is still merit-based, so you're still up there, still in that. But the next tiers are focused more on students who have certain financial need, and so it's based on the estimated financial contribution of them. Since you're going through this, I'm sure you're very familiar with the FAFSA and filling that out. And
So just before we move on this topic, if you can just talk a little bit more about the need base in terms of not just being a one-time, but 4 years.
sure, we're also doing, it's basically a guaranteed 4-year commitment that the college is making an investment towards a student attaining their academic goal, as opposed to 1 or 2 years renewable if you meet a certain GPA. So as long as you just remain in academic good standing and you still have financial need, your tuition will be reduced by that amount of the scholarship. And yeah, so it's really about supporting access to higher education.
Questions? So, and Dr. Bertzlaff, Kathleen here.
Thank you. Teresa, I just noticed that you're taking minutes,
Yes,
because I have mine typed, so I can.
that's awesome.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I'll send it over to you. And I think other people do too, but I just
That's
see you
great.
going, I'll send it to you.
They're special notes.
Just special, you can choose. So thank you. I wanted to share a little more detail in relation to the Alzheimer's grant that Josie mentioned earlier, because I think that council might be interested in the type of work this is going from. So the Center for Neural Behavioral Health, which is where this work is located. And it's directed by Dr. Mike Morales on the faculty. This grant is working with the New York State Caregiving and Respite Coalition to provide services that are related to respite care for family. According to national, state, and local surveys, the most frequently requested service by family caregivers is respite care. And despite this, 85% of adult family caregivers do not receive any respite care. So this, the new Caregiver Wellness and Respite Center will be established for Clinton, Franklin, Hamilton, Warren, and Washington counties through a contract between New York State Caregiver and Respite Coalition and the Center for Neural Behavioral Health. So I just think it's really exciting and really important project. I'm really proud that we're engaged in this. From our Brent campus, which is in Queensbury, I wanted to mention that that campus has been doing a really interesting conference each fall that's been well attended, open, free to students, and pretty much open to people anywhere on Zoom. And the conference in October is going to be focused on the term is vulnerability, but it's very focused on social media interactions with mental health. We'll know that our students have been, and students across the country, faculty are reporting, all kinds of people are reporting, we work with them, how the focus and time spent on social media, how that is impacting mental health. So I'm really excited about that. Queensberry, in collaboration with SUNY Adirondack, where it's located, is offering its first inaugural Turbo course on supply chain management. Turbo courses are not credit bearing, but they're very brief, maybe 5 weeks total, on very specific skill sets and information that can be helpful to people who are in the industry, in the corporate world, to complete. So we've been working very closely with them for over a year. And finally, we'll be offering it this summer. We're advertising for all students now. I'm going to move on and share from the Institute for Ethics and Public Life. You heard earlier about the room dedication for Tom Moran. The Institute for Ethics and Public Life is hosting a day-long international conference, which is called Reproductive Justice, not just abortion and not just women. And that's going to be on May 4th, and it will be fully hosted within Zoom. From the School of EHHS, and President Nettie, I thought you might mention this, but if you don't mind sharing that Dean Samard shared that about 200 students participated in IBAC. I've been in to college program that the president has been really promoting and working on with Andrea and Nettie and others. And College for Every Student will be bringing 159th and 10th graders to campus. Maybe they already did because Denise gave me this last week. And Teacher Education is hosting 50 students as part of a Take a Look at Teaching program. So it's really nice that we're having all this activity again to try to move fully out of COVID. Younger students and prospective students coming to campus and potentially beginning to think about enrolling here. Dean Smart is also very proud of the really outstanding results that our students are having when they compete in research gatherings for undergraduate students. So we sent a group of students to the American College of Sports Medicine Regional Conference in New York City from our Health and Wellness program. And we had 4 students who received first place in research awards. And this is, competing against probably hundreds of other students who are coming in. It's just a tribute to our faculty who prepare them for these presentations. So really excited about that. We had a group of our colleagues just received a $75,000 grant from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. And they're going to support programming for the Rural Communities of Practice project. And this project is focused on juvenile delinquency prevention in the North Country. This is designed to support rural justice-involved youth, so youth that have already been connected, unfortunately, with the criminal justice system. Our community of practice includes Clinton, Franklin, and Essex County, and the St. Regis Mohawk tribe. The goal of the project is to build community and organizational resilience, enhance communication amongst regional rural youth justice stakeholders, and promoting trauma-informed, evidence-based practices and policies. So that's a fantastic opportunity. And we've had, just to share with you, the faculty, the key faculty are Dr. McCoy Coleman from social work, Dr. Akanksha Anand from social work, and Dr. Andreas Stanatis, fitness and wellness. From arts and sciences, we had a really beautiful celebration of our graduating fine arts students last Saturday. And the president and Mrs. Nietti were able to attend as well. It was just lovely to see how the art department values those students, and each student came up in the auditorium and spoke about the growth of the program and spoke in really thoughtful ways about their art and who they were as creative artists. And then if you haven't had a chance to see the exhibit, it's still hanging. You can see really pretty amazing work. We successfully hired a permanent dean of arts and sciences, Dr. Nick Pearson. She's coming to us from West Georgia University, where she has been serving as a dean of University College We're all very excited about her. She has extensive experience in supporting student success. And it was really an easy choice for us, even though we have multiple competitive candidates coming to campus. She just seems like she will be awesome. Numbers of us asked her, how do you feel about coming from Georgia to the North Country? She grew up in the Hudson Valley. And she and her husband are super excited for winter sports. So it's going to be a good match, I think. We have had a number of arts and sciences faculty in the news on the Ukrainian crisis. You might have read some of this in the Press Republican, but history professors Richard Schaefer and Vincent Carey and political science professor Dan Lake have all given talks to help us all understand in greater detail than what we might be seeing on CNN or in public news channel, what's happening there. Feinberg Library hosted a Women's History Month celebration read-in, and the English department hosted a very similar African American literature read-in in February, which were really appreciated events for faculty, staff, and students. And Richard mentioned earlier that I am chairing the search for the next Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We're working with the search firm Greenwood Asher. Christina is our college council representative on the committee. Very happy to have her as well. And excited about this. Greenwood Asher has a long and deep history in recruitment around DEI. So far, been really impressed with the work they're doing for us. We have a great committee, and we're pushing hard because I think President Yeti would, of course, love us to have somebody in place for the fall. So we have a very aggressive timeline, and we'll certainly have to move it's moving forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Along those lines, do you do the same type of search committee for, say, Josie? Or how does that work? Or do you-
Similar sort of, yes. So, and the same will be true with Corey's position as well.
Oh, boy.
Right, so they will be in tandem or not. I think we can't chew gum and walk at the same time. But the important piece is that I want us to do a pure focus on the DEI search, and then we'll focus on the ESS search for enrollment student success, and then we'll focus on
Resource department for an application.
but it happens.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a bit more prescribed, and again, and I think where I'm interested is that as we run these searches, having as much input and feedback, and I think this is Sam going to talk a bit about and raise here as well. The desire to always keep this a very clear shared governance campus and have those feedback points. And so with respect to the DEI search, not only are we running open sessions to collect feedback, but we're also having an online survey. So all this data is being collated to provide us the best picture of what does campus look for.
It's quite the process.
I would say it's pretty typical of the EP level institution.
But it's wonderful, how you're thinking outside of the box and, realizing things that you might be doing.
Yeah, we had a fantastic training. We did go Greenwood Asher an hour and a half, working with us on bias with research processes, and I sat in on a lot of those conversations and trainings in the past. This is the best one. It's been when I ever took.
Well, a lot of positions are national, which I think is good. But also it's very competitive.
Yeah.
So the question is, let's move forward. There's a lot best in the campus to go forward. So I think SUNY Plattsburgh will be very attractive.
Presently have students from Ukraine enrolled in the education program.
We have some faculty with family connections, and they're through their department students chairs, they've been reaching out to them. And also Russian, which makes it harder for them.
Yeah.
Migrant.
You still have to do it.
Not that I'm aware of.
Anne had to get off the line at some point, so she did ask me to share two things from the Office of Institutional Advancement. The first is that the Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held on Friday, April 22nd. 6 alumni are being inducted representing men's basketball, women's soccer, women's softball, and 1 dual athlete representing baseball and football. There's information on the college website. An anonymous gift of $20,000 honoring Mark Kaiser's 40 years of teaching in the accounting department has been received. Institutional Advancement has launched an affinity campaign to secure an additional $20,000 towards the establishment of the Mark Kaiser Endowed Scholarship, which will support retention of accounting students who need financial assistance to stay enrolled and graduate. Her report. If you have questions, you can email her. She'll answer them when she returns. Marty, are you still on? Do you have a chair report to share with us?
His mic is, I think, am I looking at that properly? It's off. I can text him. See if that helps him.
So Marty, do you have anything that you'd like to share with the council?
I think that I was very, excuse me. Something is in the way of me being able to, okay. I was very pleased to see the direct action that was taken regarding the changing of the meeting schedule so as to hopefully reduce conflicts. It was just, there were too many times when it was around a holiday and then we'd end up with people traveling and not being able to attend. So I was pleased with that. And Josie's departure to me is a great loss for our institution, and I'm hopeful that we will have an opportunity to personally express our appreciation for all that she's done.
Thank you, Marty.
Anything else, Marty?
Nope.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the Student Association President's Report. I don't know if Amada's still with us. It's gone, okay. So I guess there's an election tomorrow though, right? It's interesting, we've not ever met him. We've not been here the whole time he's been in office. I have no idea what he looks like or anything, but I wish him well. I'm sure he's done a great job.
And he's chosen not to run again for re-election. So this is his final semester.
Campus governance.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say a few things about the recent SUNY University Faculty Senate meeting. I'm assuming that Ray will talk about the local Faculty Senate, but I attended about a week and a half ago the SUNY University Faculty Senate, which meets 3 times a year. We have visits from the Chancellor, the Chair of the Board of Trustees, various reports, and then often pass a number of resolutions. And so I want to mention the resolutions that were just passed. These are advisory, obviously, to the Chancellor, to Board of Trustees, to various people. So they have the choice to act on them however they wish. One of them, given the discussion we just had about searches, one of the
the resolutions had to do with searches for presidents. Hopefully, it's not going to apply on our campus anytime for many years to come. But, presidential searches certainly are common across the SUNY campuses. And there is actually a very good set of guidelines that SUNY has in place for presidential searches that campuses have to follow. This resolution though is asking, now the policy's been in place for a handful of years, is asking for a bit of clarification that for campuses who have gone through it, there are some questions about things like, who qualifies as full-time teaching faculty? Does that include people who are working in certain administrative roles who are still considered teaching faculty? So asking for clarifications on that sort of thing, suggesting, for example, that the chief diversity officer be one of the recommended people for the search committee. So a number of things like that, really just to refine the policy. It was also part of this resolution is a request for more clarification of what's termed representational searches to increase the transparency of those. Representational searches are ones where the final or semifinalist names are not ever publicly released, where the candidates do not actually come for a visit on campus, so that the faculty and staff on campus don't actually know who the finalists are. And that's, many faculty find that very problematic. So they're asking for more clarification on cases where that happens. So that's one of the resolutions that was passed. There was another resolution passed regarding health, wellness, and well-being, asking for some expanded structure to support health, wellness, and well-being on campus. There was a task force that had put together some recommendations. The University of Madison is asking that these be supported, and also that there be more funds allocated to help campuses to support well-being. There was another resolution regarding the cost of administration on campuses, actually really asking for a report to detail the cost of administration. This is from the operations committee, who has often put together reports looking at things like across campuses, the diversity of faculty and staff. And this is something that they've been wanting to do for a number of years, because there's often, you hear rumors and stories about how the cost of administration is just exploding on campuses, but not a lot of really facts about it to really know how, if that's true or not. And one of the problems that this committee has faced is trying to figure out how to assess who's actually qualified as administration, because job titles across different campuses vary so much that when this committee is trying to pull the data, that they really can't easily determine who's counted as administration on different campuses. So this resolution is basically asking that SUNY do this, that SUNY pull together the information, make it clear which titles on which campuses are used for administration, and put on a report so we can really see if it's true what many believe that administrative costs have really increased on campuses, or if this is just or to put to rest that idea. So that was the third resolution. And the last one, just for any of you who are familiar with the people at SUNY System Administration, Beth Bringshort, who was the Vice Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, is retired or has recently retired. So there was a resolution just acknowledging the work that she's done SUNY-wide and the work that she's done with the University of Madison. So that's the resolutions that were passed, and I think that's it, unless anyone has questions.
I'm not familiar with that term, representation searches. Can you give an example of what kind of position?
They're typically for presidents, and it is in the policies that Board of Trustees policies that you can do representational searches. The idea is that some people will not apply for presidential searches if their name is going to be public. And so this was put in place by the trustees that it can be done, but again, obviously a lot of faculty and staff can push back against that, because then we don't have any input into it. So essentially what this resolution is asking for is greater clarification around that and when it can be used and all that.
Thank you.
I have a question on the administrative cost. Will that be a report available When?
Well, again, this is a request by the University Faculty Senate to SUNY system to develop that report. So it depends on whether they are willing to do it or not. There have been, when we've asked for these sorts of things, at times SUNY system is willing to cooperate to provide data. For this, it's hard to say.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're hoping it's gonna happen, but there's no guarantee that they will produce a report. What we know with these resolutions, when they go to the chancellor's office, the chancellor will always respond. So we'll always get a written response. So we will know if they're willing to do it, if they're going to say, no, we can't figure out the titles either, or whatever the response will be. So at some point, within a few months, we should at least get a written response as to whether they're willing to do it or not.
And is the purpose just to compare amongst SUNY schools or nationwide?
It's really just asking about SUNY schools, and I think the goal is to look more over time. I mean, certainly there probably is interest in looking, say, across comprehensives, but also just to see if it's true what a lot of people believe, that administrative costs have risen. Or again, if that can be put to rest, that it's really not true, that people just believe it.
Are you comparing just salaries or
I'm assuming they're asking for all of that in comparison, but I don't think the resolution laid that out in very much detail.
Any questions? Thank you. And we have the faculty senate report from Dr. Carmen. Are you still on?
I am indeed. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So just a few quick things to report. The Senate is winding down for the academic year. Our last meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 3rd. And then on Thursday, May 5th, we'll hold an organizational meeting for next year's senators, where we will elect the officers for next year's Senate. At the April Senate, we passed a resolution opposing the state mandate for purchasing commodities from Corecraft Products, which uses incarcerated laborers who are paid an average of 65 cents per hour. That's the only new business from the Senate to report since our last meeting together.
Hey, any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle.
Hello. A few updates. On March 24th, our UUP chapter labor relations specialist and our campus human resources services staff held a joint workshop for supervisors of UUP employees. We used to do this fairly regularly, but there was a lull over COVID. And of course, as you know, we had quite a bit of turnover as well in that time period. So it was very timely that we were able to do this. It was well received. We had about 35 participants, and that included not only fellow UUP members, but also management confidential employees, also supervision. So we hope to continue doing workshops, whether we'll continue with Zoom or hopefully move in person. With that. UUP Negotiations Committee is scheduled to meet in Albany on April 29th and 30th. Our contract is up this summer, so the meeting will finalize conceptual contract proposals. Once they are approved by the committee, we will be ready to sit down with the state. PEF and CSEA are already at the table. Our current telecommuting agreement expires on June 30th, but we are already in negotiations with the state to get that continued. I understand that other unions are also already negotiating that and putting that in their official contract. A couple of follow-ups. The UUP delegate assembly was in Albany when the budget finally got voted on. We're getting ready to go down to the State House to protest Friday morning, but Thursday night they were like, wait a minute, we're voting. So we didn't have to go out in the cold. We appreciate that. It was raining that day. Along with, as President Kennedy has mentioned, the TAP gap was eliminated, the Excelsior gap was eliminated. And it wasn't really necessarily a gap. They were using tuition amounts from 5 years ago, which were not up to date. So that gap. Also, a part-time TAP expansion. So now part-time students are eligible for TAP. So for between 6 and 12 credits per semester. So pretty, doesn't have to be full-time, right? getting people who want to gear up their skill sets. Couple of other things, you mentioned funding for new faculty hiring. That came with some interesting reporting requirements from SUNY. If they have to show where that money went and which campuses got those lines, as well as to report number of credit hours being taught by full-time and part-time faculty per year. So that might be a new reporting requirement if you're not already doing that. Be prepared. Couple of other things, EOP, on top of whatever they had last year, are getting an additional 5.15 million increase here. And the nursing faculty scholarship, which is kind of a pet project of one of the legislators, has 2 million more for licensed nurses to get their master's or doctorate degrees in nursing faculty. So that is my report. Any questions? Questions?
Thank you. So do we have any old business that anybody would like to discuss? Any new business? Yes, we'll see everybody at graduation, and I'll take a motion to adjourn. So, Jim? Second, Sid? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Which day is that?